Yo, what's going on everybody? Today is Friday, August 7th. Hope you had a good week. Today I'm going to be talking about the PPP loan and when it's expiring and what you should be doing, okay? So the PPP loan, as you know, will be expiring tomorrow by the end of the day. By 11:59 p.m. it's going to be expiring tomorrow. What has it been looking like so far? The PPP loan was introduced back in March through the CARES Act. As you remember, there was $350 billion allocated to it, and it ran out of that money within like a week. So then after that, Congress allocated another $310 billion to the program, and that has been ongoing since I think like April. And there's still $136 billion left in the program that's set to expire tomorrow night. So what do you need to be aware of and what do you need to look out for? First is the forgiveness, because remember, PPP loan, it's still a loan. You still have to pay it back. That is until you apply for forgiveness successfully and you get your loan approved for forgiveness. So some things to be aware of. First of all, you can apply for forgiveness before your covered period is up. Your covered period is either 8 weeks or 24 weeks, okay? One of those two, you get a pick. The covered period just means it's the amount of time that you have to spend your PPP funds. If you have already spent all your PPP funds, you can apply for forgiveness before your covered period is up. What does the forgiveness process look like? Well, it's still up in the air, and it's highly likely gonna depend on your bank that you got your PPP funds from, okay? So I know the SBA released the 3508 and the 3508 EZ forms for forgiveness. It's an application for forgiveness, but very, very likely your bank is going to have some electronic version of it and their own processes and their own ways of gathering documents. Be on the lookout for any communication from your bank regarding forgiveness. And I also recommend just checking in with your bank periodically to see where they're at on that. Because you don't really want to wait around just in case you might miss an email or a phone call or something. Just check in with your bank periodically to see if the PPP forgiveness application has been released or where they're at with that. Okay, so stay proactive on that. That's something that you can do. I've made some videos in the past going through the forgiveness application, and also I've made videos in the past going through like what to be aware of for forgiveness and what kind of qualifies as forgiveness, and especially self-employed folks. I got some useful information for you there. So go to my previous videos to check that out. So what does this mean now? Is there going to be any more programs available for business owners? Well, most likely. I mean, there's still the EIDL loan program. That loan program is still available. It's not forgivable, okay? The grant is out of money right now, but the loan is still going strong. So check that out. That's at sba.gov if you're interested in that. And also, Senator Marco Rubio from Florida, he's the head of the business committee. He introduced a bill that will basically provide you a second wave of PPP loans. That bill is called the Continuing Small Business Recovery and Paycheck Protection Program Act. It's a long name. He's going to allocate the rest of the PPP money, the $136 billion, plus whatever else is needed to allocate, I think, $190 billion towards the second wave of PPP. And it's going to be targeting smaller businesses. So it's going to be businesses that are primarily under 300 employees, and also businesses that have seen a 50% reduction in revenue year over year. Okay, so they're trying to target smaller businesses and businesses that have legitimately been affected. First wave of PPP, you can just attest that you need the money and your business was adversely affected, but there was no real guidelines there. Like, people can be making shit up and still get the funds, right? But now they're gonna really put a hard guideline on there to make sure only people in need get the money. It's gonna be the same loan amount as before. It's gonna be 2.5 times your average monthly payroll costs. And the only thing now is that the PPP loans for the second draw will be limited to $2 million rather than $10 million. And I'm sure for most people, that's fine. Nobody's gonna care about that. The next really important thing in this act that Senator Rubio introduced is improvements to the forgiveness process. All right, there's going to be more covered expenses that will be allowable for forgiveness. For example, vendors and suppliers, certain expenses can be forgiven. Certain work protection expenses can be forgiven, like personal protection equipment for your employees. There are certain operating expenses that will be able to be forgiven, like software, cloud systems, that kind of thing. And most importantly, if your loan was under $150,000, you don't have to submit any documents or applications for forgiveness, which means that loans under $150,000 will be automatically forgiven. Now that's a huge piece in this bill, and I hope that this bill passes, just like I hope that you'll smash that like button. So anyways, if this bill passes, then we're going to see a second draw of PPP loans, and we're going to see improved PPP loan forgiveness. And that includes the first wave of PPP as well, the improved forgiveness, not just the second wave. So hopefully this bill passes, and I'll keep you guys updated on what goes on there. So now that the PPP is about to lapse and about to expire, what should you be doing? Definitely you don't want to just sit there and wait around, okay? Be proactive, take charge of your business, take charge of your destiny, and be proactive. So first thing you can probably do is contact your senator and your representative and make sure you let them know how important this bill is for your business and for those around you in the community, okay? Contact them directly and just let them know. The more people that contact them, the more it's gonna light a fire under their ass to get this done. Second is maybe consider unemployment for now, you know? I mean, the resource is there for a reason. The CARES Act expanded unemployment for self-employed people and business owners. So consider that as well. Just know sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Not all folks on unemployment are lazy. I would argue that most folks on unemployment are not lazy. So something to consider, check out unemployment if you need to. Third, check your state and local governments for funding. I mean, I've mentioned in previous videos that there are tons of programs out there from your state, your city, and your county that could provide relief for this pandemic. So check with your state and local governments. Also, see if you can pivot your business, you know? Maybe your business is not doing well, like if you retail, see if you can pivot online or do something, get creative here, do something to get your business to generate more income. And on top of that, be prepared for next time. This pandemic hit all of us and caught all of us off guard. And so what you got to do is be prepared for the following year to just basically by budgeting and forecasting your financial statements and your cash flow so you know exactly what you need and how to do that, okay? Reach out to me if you need help with that. And lastly, if you haven't applied for the PPP, definitely do so today if you're watching this video before August 8th. I recommend a website called lendio.com, lendio.com. I'm not sponsored by them or paid by them or anything. They've just been really coming through for my clients in the past week. I used to recommend a website called Bluevine, but they've been kind of failing for my clients. So now on to Lendio. And Lendio is great because you apply with them online and you still potentially get to work with an actual person. So if there's any discrepancies, it can be resolved with that person, you know? Compared to Bluevine, it's all basically automated. You don't really get to talk to anybody. So check out Lendio if you still need a PPP loan, okay? That's all I got for today. Thanks so much. Have a nice weekend. I'm going camping for a longer weekend, so there might not be any videos Monday and Tuesday, but if I don't see you, have a good long weekend and stay safe.